Hi, welcome to this week Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. We've got a full house again. I love it when we got a full house. We've got Kirsten Blacketer, Michelle Miles, Amy Sandas, and Kathleen Ayers this week. Ladies, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And Kathleen has to run out and get a cute puppy, and we're not even going to get the cute puppy tax, which just seems wrong. So maybe she could post a picture in the chat later on so we get to see the cute puppy. Next time. So we're going to go ahead and start with her book, which actually releases at the end of the week, and work our way backwards through the week. So Kathleen's book is Despite the Duke, and it's book 1 in a new series, The London Vices. Can you tell us about this one?
Yes. So I through a series of personal things that have been going on. I have elderly parents, and these books should have been out last year, actually. So I'm a little bit behind, but that also gave me some additional time to really think about what I wanted to do with this series. So the London Vices, the name of the family is Viceroy. So I tried to be a little clever there. But one of the things that has always fascinated me is twins and triplets. And I have friends that have both.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. So I have always been fascinated by that whole duality. And so I did some research, and while twins and triplets weren't hugely prevalent back in the Regency era, there are recorded births where there are triplets. And I thought, well, I've never seen a book with triplets before, so I'm going to write one. So it starts out with a terrible murder of the parents, because I like all that drama. But
you and Disney, man.
I know, I like all that drama. And the mother, the Duchess, gives birth, but she dies before the other two. She only knows that she's given birth to one. And so when they come to fetch her body and fetch the new Duke, they don't know about the other two babies. So the first book is actually the first baby, the first Duke. And the rest of the series, you'll just have to read on and find out how he meets his other two brothers. And because there's rumors that somebody's impersonating the Duke and looks like the Duke. And there's might be a bookkeeper, accountant guy out in the country that people say looks like a Duke. So we're going to find out how he and his brothers all come together, and who the real villain of the whole story is, because there is a villain.
Oh, wow. So we get three separate love stories and then a whole overarching mystery thing.
Yes. And the Duke does have two cousins, so we'll see what happens with them. So so it's one of those. I love to write about families. I love family sagas. I love the interaction and the dynamics between siblings. So we'll see. I think one of the funniest things was starting this book and making the Duke of Roxborough. He's a drunk. He's a libertine. He's everything that you don't want, although he sounds really fun to just go have a beer with, right? But as far as a human being, he's pretty despicable. And making him into a cinnamon roll over the course of the book was so much fun and such a challenge for me, and I greatly enjoyed it. And I like the heroine got a little bit of me in her, and so I really like how she just kind of blooms in her relationship with the Duke. So,
Oh, very cool. Well, it sounds like very much fun, and I love new series. Starts a new series, fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Yeah.
This one isn't Flame though, right? This one's Dragonblade Originals.
I believe so. Yes, I believe so, because it's pretty long. So yeah. But it's still steamy, because you know me, I don't write anything but steamy. So it's steamy and angsty and funny, because I believe sex is funny in a lot of ways. So so they're very funny together. And that was another thing that I really liked. My editor told me at first I wasn't sure about this guy, but by the end of the book I was in love with him. And I'm like,
oh, fantastic. Oh, I love an arc like that.
Then I did what I needed to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we love the steamy and the funny. So
yeah, there you go.
Great. Well, the other book that came out this week is My Fair Scott, which is by Sarah Bennett, and it's also a book 1 in a new series. It's The Mackenzies Take London. So I'll pop the link in the comments so you can grab it, and we'll talk to Sarah at another time. But the one that came out after that is Captivating the Highland Rogue. I've been trying to make this Captivating Her Highland Rogue all day today. It's Captivating the Highland Rogue, and that's Michelle's book. And it's book 3 in the Highland Destinies. And these are time travel, right?
Yes, these are time travel books where modern heroines go back in time to 13th century Scotland and meet their very hunky Highland heroes. And so this is book 3, and I like to write about family too. So these are sisters. So the first 2 books were the 2 twin sisters. I have fraternal twin sisters, and we don't meet Brianna at all in either of those books. They're just talked about. So you really get kind of a sense of how they feel about their older. So she's older. She's 10 years their senior. And their parents were killed in a car crash. And so she was the one that was responsible to raise them when they were teenagers. She's kind of a beach bum. She's very like low key, doesn't want responsibility. She's not interested in being an adult, basically. So when the 2 sisters, the younger sisters, were old enough to kind of take care of themselves, she took off and decided to be a beach bum. And so we finally meet her in this book, and Brianna was so much fun to write. She's kind of a mystery, because we don't really know much about her other than what Chloe and Evie have thought about her through the previous 2 books. And so I really got to have some fun with her on the page, and it starts off with her on a beach in the Caribbean being a beach bum, and she likes to shack up with really rich guys. Because she wants no commitment, right? She's not interested in that. She's like, no, I'm just gonna do what I want to do and drink Mai Tais and whatever. So she gets this feeling that her sisters something is wrong. So she ends up in Edinburgh, which she hates because it's winter and she's a summer child.
The beach for Mai Tais.
Right. She's a summer child. And so she, through a series of events, she ends up. So the whole story of this series is each girl has gotten a piece of a keystone, and it sends them back in time to the MacLeods, and the MacLeods are the ones that are the protector of this mysterious stone that's all about, altering time and whatever. And so she gets this piece of the keystone, and she ends up back in time, and she falls in love with the younger brother. So it's an older heroine, younger man story, and he's a rogue, and he's not interested in commitment either. So it was a lot of fun to write that dynamic between the 2 of them. And the end was very hard for me to write because I can't spoil it. So it made me cry. So when you read the end, you'll see why. But so anyway, she's reunited with her sisters, and there's a lot of strife between the 3 of them as they're trying to navigate. They're back in time. They're trying to figure stuff out. And she's like, let's go home, and the other 2 are like, no, sorry, we're already married to our hunky island heroes. We're not leaving. So I had a lot of fun with writing that series and really discovering who Brianna was, and turning her from the irresponsible beach bum into someone she's kind of the hero of the whole series. So
oh wow.
Yeah, so they have to put together the bad guys are the MacLeods, the good guys are the MacLeods, the bad guys are the McDonalds. And so they have to I don't know why I did that to myself, all the mechs. Right. And so they have to, it's like a race against time about, trying to put the stone back together, and the bad guy wants to alter time and, take control of the Highlands. And it's a clan war. So, so anyway, this was like the big climax of the whole trilogy. And it was just a lot of fun to write.
Oh, it sounds like it. And I love a book that makes you cry. So.
Yes, I'm loving writing those types of books lately. I one of my last ones that released, had an ending where the reviewers are like, I cried at the end. So that's what I want.
Huge catharsis. I want a huge catharsis.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, the next book that came out this week is Amy's book, and it's In Like a Lion, which is obviously a lion's den book. Can you tell us about this one, Amy?
Sure. So In Like a Lion is my very first release with Dragonblade. So it is set up as a little introduction to a trilogy that will follow. But this one is set up in the Lion's Den world. And it starts off my series is the Fairchild cousins. So this kind of is the oldest male cousin of the Fairchild family. He's also the heir to a dukedom, very wealthy, influential family. So from the moment he was born, he's been, essentially trained and formed into his future role as the Duke. So he's very... I'm going to start out by saying straight-laced, very, proper, very aware of responsibility and duty and obligation to his family and the legacy and all these words that kind of have flown at him since he was very young. He's also been given the responsibility of like his generation of cousins as the oldest cousin of his father's siblings. So he's the one kind of cleaning up the messes of the younger rake cousins, and he's the one being tapped to escort his female cousins when they debut. So the story is essentially that situation. He's escorting his younger sister and two of his female cousins, so three debutantes for the season, while also trying to fend off interest from debutantes and matchmaking mamas as well. So that's kind of his setup. The heroine in this is Charlotte Dixon, and she is like the free spirit, eccentric sort of character. She was raised by her mother, who was a renowned stage actress, traveled around the world a little bit, settled in Paris, lived there for a while. And then her mother died, and she came back to London. But her motivation is revenge. She is determined to get back at her maternal grandparents for the way they treated her mother when she married someone they didn't approve of, and then, took on kind of this bohemian lifestyle. After her mother's death, she found out that the mother had reached out wanting to reconnect, and they denied her.
Oh, man.
In her grief, this is sort of her plot, is to get to London. And because her maternal grandparents were very determined to kind of play the game of social politics, getting their daughter to marry well, she decided that what she needs to do is marry super well and then get the influence that her grandparents always wanted, and then close the door in their faces. Make sure that they were not accepted in the society that caused them to reject their daughter. And of course, she gets some help from the Black Widow of Whitehall in cornering potential bachelors for this plan. And the widow decides that this heir to a dukedom is the perfect target. So that sums up their motivations, but things go awry almost from the beginning of them meeting. And she decides that he needs a little comeuppance for his arrogance. And the widow of Whitehall gives her a chance to kind of take a dominant, not kind of, totally take a dominant role in one of the private rooms. And Ralston decides that maybe it is good for him to lose control every now and then.
Oh my goodness.
And allow this mysterious masked woman to kind of give him some relief from that position of authority. And then, of course, eventually he discovers who she is, and we see how they work that out, because she's definitely not appropriate for a duchess, a future duchess. But will that matter?
I'm going to go with no. Yeah. I'm going to go with no. It's not going to matter. I think it's going to be just fine.
And it does sort of overlap with the series that comes next. Is his sister's story is the next in the starting off that trilogy, and it happens in the same season. So there is a little bit of scenes that overlap. You'll kind of see from two perspectives as the trilogy goes on. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I love siblings too. It's like getting to see the whole entire family is very cool.
Yeah. Like Kathleen said, I love family sagas. So this one could, because of the number of cousins, could go on for a while if I want to, in the Fairchild Cousins series. But we'll see.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the debut. And we have another debut this week. Kirsten's book is her Dragonblade debut, and it is The Duchess Pursues Her Pleasure, and it's book 1 in the Wanton Widow Society.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the book and the series?
Yeah. So when I started my writing career, I was writing characters who were more my age, and as I've gotten older, my heroines have gotten older. And I love writing historical, but I was getting really tired of debutantes. So I went with.
I think Kathleen can commiserate with that.
Right?
Yeah. I ended up going with a group of widows that I had an idea for, and so they've all experienced marriage in very different ways. Not exactly love. I have 4 widows, so there's 4 books in the series, and each of them kind of explores their dynamics in their previous relationships very briefly, and then how it segues into their newfound relationships and how different they are in comparison. But the difference with mine is there's no families involved. Sorry, guys. No family dynamics. A lot of it is more friendships and the bonds that are formed just through being thrown together in circumstances. So these widows, the first book starts with our Duchess, Cassandra, and she did not have a very happy marriage. In fact, the book starts off with her being very happy that her husband is dead.
Sometimes it's what's got to happen.
She's actually celebrating in the first chapter. She's having a drink after the funeral. So she was like, good riddance to bad rubbish. But she's drinking alone, and her late husband's valet finds her in the study drinking alone and basically calls her out on it. And she tries to dismiss him. And he somehow convinces her to let him stay on as the butler moving forward. And then so there's a tension between them that they hadn't really explored when her husband was alive. And now it's kind of moving into a little more of a dangerous territory with him taking on a new role in the household and her being a widow. But she goes through her entire period of mourning. Nothing untoward happens. This series is set in late Victorian London, so very different dynamics and kind of environment than Regency, but still has a lot of that same tension and societal pressure. So, but as they slowly start to explore a possible relationship between them, secrets start to unravel that he has ulterior motives for even being in the house in the first place.
Oh man.
So it starts to become a trust issue of what's going on. And then her son, who is now the new Duke, is not at all happy with this flirtation that they have kind of going on. So and she is in her mid-40s and he is 33. So there, that's kind of been the theme with this series, is that all the heroes are in their 40s and all of the heroes are in their early 30s. So, and not only that, they're all class difference too. So all of the widows are titled and all of the men that they fall for are blue collar.
Oh, fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun.
An issue with the class dynamics, but but Cassandra actually starts a friendship with a group of widows that they've dubbed the Mayfair Widows in the first book. And so this kind of girl tribe that they've formed together, they're learning to trust each other with, you know, their past and their experiences, and kind of encourage each other moving forward. So it's fun to see each of the girls and their very different personalities.
Mhm.
But I just finished plotting book 4 that I'm going to be working on now. So I've got all the plots kind of jumbled in my head. It's getting a little messy, but they all have one distinct tying point, and they're all kind of get tied up with a figure called the Lord of Devil's Acre, who is a crime lord.
We got a bad guy.
I guess we'll see.
Oh, bad guy.
I will give this point. I have written the Lord of Devil's Acre in a series that I self-published before. He is one of my favorite characters, which is why he makes an appearance in this series. He has a recurring role, but he's a tying point, a linchpin for all of the characters and their stories. But he's just kind of a figure in the background that kind of pulls some strings and plays some games. But I love him, so he just keeps coming back up. And I did get permission to use him as long as he wasn't like a focal point. I was like, well, he's just gonna have that little recurring role. So
Well, very cool, very cool. And this is Dragonblade Flame, is that right?
yes,
So it's super steamy.
yes,
Yeah, which makes sense, because if the Duchess is pursuing her pleasure, we don't want there to be limits on that.
no, absolutely not. She has no idea what pleasure actually is because her husband was useless. So, yeah.
That's even more fun because we get the like the innocent ingenue stuff without all the ingenue stuff.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
There's lots of good tension there. Awesome. Well, it sounds like a great series.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So we have two other books that came out this week. You've Got the Marquess's Mail by Michelle McLean. We'll catch up with Michelle later. I'll make sure I pop the link in the comments. And that is book 2 in the Brailsford Brothers series. It's the cutest title. And then the other one is Emily Murdoch's book, which is book 11. It's Take a Chance on You, and that's book 11 in the Chances series. So I'll pop that link in the comments too, so you can grab it if you haven't gotten it already. It's a full week of reading, so you know you can read from dusk to dawn and not run out of books this week. So Michelle, you said something about the ending making you cry. And
Yeah.
I was always thinking that Joan Wilder moment, you know, in Romancing the Stone. I wonder if anybody else has had those moments where you're so attached to the characters that you're writing that you get a little bit emotional about them.
Well, I do for sure.
I do too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's funny to read something that you've written and then you start crying, and then you're like, okay, this is ridiculous because I wrote this. But then you start crying again because those people are real to you, right?
Yeah.
And so you get very emotionally attached. I have a series that I published independently, Beautiful Barringtons, and the guy, the Duke is dead from pretty much the very beginning of the whole series, but you meet him through flashbacks, how other people loved him throughout. And so I finally had to publish a prequel of his love story. And everybody's like, okay, I'm just sobbing continuously now.
Yeah.
Because you fall in love with him over the course of like 8 books, right? And then he's probably one of my favorites. But yeah, he shows up in every book, just like your character in The Devil's Acre. Yeah.
What about you, Amy? Did you ever have one that made you cry?
There's been a few, moments where I get a little choked up, but and I do love angsty stories. But I'm almost more surprised when I'm rereading and doing edits that I actually get like that, butterflies in my tummy moments too. It's like, wait a minute, I created this moment between these characters, but it's kind of cool to be rereading it and actually have that visceral reaction. It's like, okay, this is pretty good here. I'm digging it. So yeah, just being able to feel the emotions that you're trying so hard to get on the page the way that you imagine them, and then to have a few moments of success where you're like, okay, this is working. This is great.
That's the best, isn't it? I love reading back some stuff, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I wrote that.
Yeah.
That came out of my brain.
There was actually a post on my Facebook group, like, what's one of your favorite lines from a book? And it was a whole bunch of different, I mean, it ran the gamut from, romance to romantasy, whatever. But somebody, and I wrote down these lines, and I looked at them and I go, oh, that's so beautiful. And then it took me a minute. Oh yeah, I wrote that. I'd completely forgotten that was one of my books. I was like, oh, because they weren't naming the books, right? And so I read that and I went, oh, I wrote that. No wonder it's so touching. Anyway, yes.
What about you, Kirsten? Do you have moments that have made you cry?
I think it's more of, as I'm writing, I get that discovery process, like I'm not sure where something's going, and then they hit me with it, and I'm like, I don't want that to happen, and I get upset because I'm like, I know it has to happen, but so I think those scenes are the ones that kind of throw me off guard. I don't know that I've ever like gotten really weepy over it, but I have gotten choked up a couple of times, like, oh, this is really good. But I always laugh. There's that meme where it's like, what idiot wrote this? Oh yeah, that's me. Like when you're doing edit. And then when I go back and reread something, I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. I can't believe I wrote that. That's pretty awesome. So those are always really great feelings.
Yeah. It's weird how disconnected you get from it too. Like, if you write it, and then I know for you guys, by the time we're talking about your books, you're already 2 or 3 books down the road, and you wouldn't think that something that you created completely would leave your mind the way it does, because there are new characters that step in and new stories that step in and take the place, so calling back to the one that you wrote 2 or 3 books ago is a challenge, I think.
Yes. It is for sure for me, because I'm like, like the last time we talked when we were talking about my book too, I'm like, I don't remember the name of the villain. I can't remember what I named him. I remember this time.
That stuff just flies right out of your head, and it's just gone. It's
like
gone.
I spent 3 books with these guys, but I don't know what I named them. But yeah, it's funny how that happens, and then I'll go back and reread some snippets from it. I'm like, oh, that was so good, and then the end, oh, that makes me sad. I can't believe that happened.
I just had to do a search on Despite the Duke, because I'm working on the second book right now, and I forgot where the estate is. I'm like, wow,
where did I put that?
I mean, I came up with this great, clever name and these Roman ruins and so much pageantry, right? And then I'm like, well, where the hell is it? Because I can't remember where it is. And so I had to look I was like, is it in Surrey? Is it in Hampshire? And like, oh, it's in Essex. I only found it. I was like, oh, how could I forget? That's like a crucial thing. How could I forget that? But I did.
Now I know why authors keep Bibles from when they have like a big series, and they have to have those notes. Like I know for this series, I had to keep notes of like, what was the housekeeper's name? What was the servant's name? What was, all these things. And I was like, I don't remember which housekeeper goes with which house. And
where the butler goes,
right?
Which one was the smart ass? Which one was? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
When I started writing too, I never could have imagined that I would ever forget, character names or book titles. It's like, how would people ever do that? Like this came, but recently, I cannot remember some of the names of those early characters, and it's weird. Maybe it's just age, but or maybe it's 25 books, but
that's what it is.
Yeah.
It is. You write so many, and then your mind can only hold so much information. Yeah. I'm convinced of it. Right.
I can almost picture how I envision them better than I can, find their name in the files.
So do you all do that? Do you have pictures in your head of who your characters are before you start writing?
For sure. Yeah, I have to have a story about. I write fantasy primarily, so I write long series. I'm working on book 7 of a long series, and I have a minor character in the first 5 books that she is now becoming a major character, and could not remember what color her eyes were. I had to go through 5 books to had to do a search for color of eyes. It took me forever to figure out that. I didn't even say what color her eyes were until the 5th book. So I was like, oh, okay.
Right?
So I immediately put it in my story Bible. But yeah, I have so many things. It's not just characters for me. It's items, it's places, it's relics, it's whatever. What do they do? What their power is. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I have a massive 20-page story Bible for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just to keep up with it.
Yeah, I like to find images online too that kind of match
Oh,
my vision of the characters. So, like for example, and then I'll just create a collage of it's usually actors or some sort of famous people that have a lot of images online, and then I just try and find some that show different emotions and just keep them handy. But yeah, I have to document all those little details. I do have a Bible too that I've kept, because almost all of my series are like spin-offs. So and I love to bring cameos in. So I kind of started having to keep track of that a while ago to make sure I'd get it right.
Right.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I fan cast all of my heroes before I start writing.
Yeah.
And then as I write my scenes and I finish my scene for the day, I'll actually post my word count on Twitter, and I'll actually post a GIF image of the actor that I'm using for that character.
Cool.
So it's kind of like a teaser of what's going on in my head at the moment. So
very
there'll
cool.
be a recurring theme sometimes. Same actor over and over.
Very cool. Well, ladies, we are out of time. It was delightful to talk to you today. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your stories with us and share a little bit about your writing process. It's always a treat for me to get to talk to you, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I'll pop the links to all the books in the comments of the chat so that you can grab them if you haven't gotten them already. And Dragonblade books are the best deal the first 2 weeks of pre-order. After that, you can read in Kindle Unlimited. Great. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.